Okay, I found something. There's only been one quasi-mainstream media article on this, and it's a big, new, sneaky policy from the Liberals that they've tried to kind of slide under the radar during the summer, but it's one that could have massive implications on your grocery budget, your grocery bill, and the choices that you get in groceries. Now, you'd think in the middle of a food affordability crisis, the Liberals wouldn't be trying to do things that make that situation worse. But enter Liberal Environment Minister Steven Guilbeault. Now, Steven Guilbeault, we know he's an activist from Greenpeace. Sometimes the daily realities of living escapes this person. He has put forward this series of regulations that are so sneaky and have such big implications that every Canadian needs to know about them, because regardless of how you vote, they are going to impact your grocery bill if they go through in their current form. Now, you guys know that the Liberals have already censored social media in a lot of ways. There's news bans on these platforms. I have laid out for you all of these regulations and a link to the actual regulations themselves, the proposed regs, in the link in the video description. So I ask you, if you're seeing this, to click on that link, read it, and click subscribe, because that's the only way I can stay in touch with you now. If you're somehow miraculously seeing this video through Facebook news bans and Facebook algorithms or YouTube algorithms, whatever, please click subscribe on that link. I'm doing my part as a member of Parliament to keep you informed. Let me walk you through what's going on. So what the Liberals are proposing, this is a consultation that they started during the summer. And again, you can click on the link in the video description. I'll put it in the comments after so you can see it. I've got the receipts. They've started this consultation, and what it's going to do is this is kind of what it proposes. Big grocery, so we know like the big grocery chains in Canada, we know that they kind of function like there's not a lot of competition in Canada. They are going to have the power to comply with these regulations, which require their entire company to only use or sell a certain amount of certain types of packaging. Now, that gives them the power to choose what they put on the shelf or not. That's what these regulations would do. So what do you think would happen if, like many of the grocery stores we have in Canada, the grocery store chains, we know there's not a lot of competition. They actually manufacture a lot of their own products, right? It's a lot of these store brands. They're vertically integrated. And there's been a lot of real conversation among all sorts of political parties, different civil society groups, saying that there's not a lot of choice in grocery supply in Canada because of this already. Now, if these regulations go through in their current form, I'm not even sure the Competition Bureau would be able to stop these big grocers from not stocking their shelves with different types of brand name products. So that means that you could be seeing less choice in the brand name products that you see on your shelves, and potentially increased costs of store or generic brands, right? Also, we know that major brand name producers, they already face a lot of regulations in entering the Canadian market, particularly when it comes to packaging. We saw a bit of this when the Tylenol shortage happened, children's Tylenol shortage happened last winter, where manufacturers were citing packaging restrictions, labeling requirements that were complex. Those profit margins are already small in Canada, so some of these brand names, if these regulations go through, they might just say, well, screw it, we're not going into Canada. All of this is very bad news for who? You, because you could have less choice and higher prices at the same time in the middle of a grocery affordability crisis. Now, I'm all for ensuring that we have, environmentally responsible packaging. That's very important. However, you'd think that the federal government would find a way to do that without giving big grocery more power and increasing the cost to you when you already can't afford to buy a bag of groceries. That's how tone deaf these Liberals are. I am sure you have not seen this story anyway. I am so sure of it that I'm gonna ask you to share this video. Again, anybody can check my content, check all of my receipts by clicking on the link in the video description. Click on it and click subscribe. It helps me get around the Facebook news bans, which of course is driven by the Liberal censorship ban. And now, ironically, we have potential Liberal food censorship, with this new regulation. I need you to talk about this. I need you to share this video, share the article, and most importantly, click subscribe. It's free. It helps me stay in touch with you so that you know about these things. Now, I'm going to close with this. When you click on that article, these consultations are still open. They've tried to slide them under the radar. But I think that these people need to hear from you. I think that these people are not really talking to the Canadian public. I don't think they know. I really don't think that they understand how much Canadians are struggling with grocery bills. So I ask you to do this. I ask you to help me fight back. Click subscribe in the link. And then when you read through that article, you'll see that there's a link where you can send an email on these consultations yourself. I would love to have that federal bureaucrat who answers to Stephen Guilbeault have hundreds of thousands of raw stories from Canadians saying, why would you take away more of my choice in the grocery store? And why would you make my grocery bill more expensive? The Liberals are going to try and spin this every 6 ways to Sunday. But at the end of the day, what they're doing here, mark my words, is giving more power to big grocery and making your life